So welcome everybody to this month's masterclass. It is December. It is the last month of 2024. I don't know how we got here already. I don't know if it's going that fast for you. It is flying by for me. And we are doing something super important this month. This month we are talking about keeping our companies and ourselves safe in the big bad world of hackers and people who are trying to infiltrate and get your information, steal your identity, steal your company's information, all of that terrible things that are going on. So we have with us Michelle Soul. She is, of course, a NAWBO Circle member herself, and we're going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about how to keep ourselves safe, how to keep our company safe. What are the things that you should be looking for? What are some ideas on what to do? And we'll have some discussion about what you're already doing. Maybe raise some questions. If there's more resources we need to find, we can do that as well. But it's a good time to really talk about this. I know that we have at least 2 people in the circle who in the last probably 90 days have been hacked. I mean, it happens more than it should and more than we ever want it to. So that's what our discussion is going to be around today. And Michelle, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, let me share this. I put a presentation together, guys, and there's a lot to cover, guys. You know, doing this for a living with different companies, I focused on small business format because otherwise we would be in here for a week talking, and I don't think anybody's got a week to give me. Got it. You can see the presentation, everyone? Okay. So a couple things, enterprise versus small business. I put this together with the idea for small business only. Again, enterprise to you. Enterprise, when we talk about enterprise, we're talking about data centers, Amazon level. If you have those things, understand that this is meant more for small business and personal, without data centers, without having servers of your own, things of that sort, right? And as we talk, you'll see there's a difference and it'll be a little clearer. If you do need enterprise support, that's a different thing. It's much more complicated. But cybersecurity itself is very complicated. And the only reason I say that is the hackers, we don't have just one version of hackers any longer. We've got, you know, everyone talks about the hacker who sits in the room that's malicious. We call those kitty hackers. And then you've got, you know, like the Nigerian email hackers, the phishing ones. And we're going to talk a lot about phishing because that is the main way that all of the threat actors are actually attacking small business and you personally. So that's more of your grouped hackers will do that. Think about, you know, rooms with a bunch of people from Nigeria sitting there being paid hourly to do these things. And then when you get up into enterprise level, then we start talking threat nations. And that's where nations spend billions with the B to, you know, fund people, buy AI tools, the whole 9 yards. So it's a whole different level, right? The good news is most small businesses are not being attacked by threat nations yet. And I say yet because every time I think we know what's going to be happening, they prove me wrong. For those of us in the security business, we'll be here forever because there will always be a bad guy. One legal thing I have to put in here, guys, is this presentation is for educational support. What you do with this information, I and the company cannot be held liable for. So we're here to help, but if you break something, you bought it, you deal with it, all right? And that makes my attorneys very happy. Again, we're going to talk a lot about phishing. Then we're going to talk about malvertising. That's another way that attacks small businesses and your personal life. Then I've got one slide with the last about top 10 other threat actors and different scenarios that happen. And we're going to go through those briefly. And then I've got tips for each one. And so again, like I said, I'll send this out. I'll give this to Linda and she can share it out because it's just a really great place to have all the information. And I'm happy to share with you all. Okay, phishing. So phishing. phishing attacks are really what you're going to see coming in, and I'm not going to read you off the deck because you can read it yourself. But phishing really has to do with email. Email is where it started. It's what we see all the time. Someone is going to send you emails from inappropriate email addresses, asking you to click on something, provide information, go to a marketing site that's not appropriate. There's a lot of reasons and a lot of ways that they want your information. And it is very, very successful. And it's harder now to see more than ever. One of the things, and I'm going to show you a couple articles that the FBI put out and a couple different people, just to kind of bring this home. Phishing is your main issue. Whether you're a one-person shop or a 5-person shop, it does not matter. You're a human and you get email. Phishing, though, is also now expanded into messaging, your text messaging. Now they are doing text messaging phishing. Those, I'll show you some examples of everything that I'm talking through. So it has now moved on to text messages. The other thing that's phishing is websites will do phishing activities. Now there's a kind of a gray area between phishing and malvertising. And I'll talk you through kind of both of them, but they do kind of overlay because phishing is an activity. They're quote unquote phishing for data, trying to get you to give them data, trying to reply, trying to get any of your attention. Email filters, education, and I'm going to say this over and over and over until you guys go, oh my God, if she says that one more time, I'm going to puke. Multi-factor authentication, MFA. And I'm going to say it a lot today. MFA is your friend. MFA will keep you safe. And what is MFA? Multi-factor. I go to a website, I'm going to log in, and it wants to send a confirming text message to my phone. That is the 2-part authentication. Anytime you get an option for MFA, you're going to use MFA because that hacker who maybe got your credentials doesn't have the phone at the same time. So we're going to say MFA a lot. Okay, first email coming out, new things in phishing. So I think we all are used to Nigerian Prince sent us an email and says, you've won $1 million and you just need to click on this and it's going to give you back. Oh, but send me $1,000 to get that $1 million, right? We've all seen those. We're all educated for those, right? Sadly, some people in our nation still are clicking on them though and going for it. I hear horror stories like you wouldn't believe. One of the latest things, and this literally, guys, as I was putting this little presentation together for you all, I was out in the articles because I'm constantly out reading and educating myself, which is also another thing, read and educate yourself on what's the latest and greatest issues. But the newest one is SVG. SVG attachments are pictures inside of emails. It's a specific format though. Most of us are used to JPEG images, PNG images, GIF images, things of those sort. Those are pretty locked down at the moment with code. And SVG is more of an artistic level code, and it allows code to be implemented or injected, into the picture itself. When that happens, if you can put code in something that you can accidentally just click on because you're downloading the pictures for that email, you have just downloaded malware. So SVG is the big thing. It's a new attack. I wanted to pull it to your attention, meaning if you don't know, don't download anything. If the email comes up, and my emails, good and bad, all come up saying, click right to download this picture. And we're constantly doing it because we go, oh, it's from Bank of America. Click, I'll do that, right? That's the next one. The other one is fake Excel attachments. And now a lot of us know to watch the attachments. We've heard that a lot, but we've gotten kind of complacent in the thought of if it's an Excel sheet, it must be from our accountant or it must be from someone internally in our company. Because remember, they can spoof you too. We're going to talk about that a bit. Excel workbook has programming built into it. You can write pivot tables. You can write macros. Guess what? You can also write code, malware. So watch out for these fake Excels. It's an Excel, but it's not something you need to open. Okay. So this is something brand new. And again, you can read more about this. So let's talk a little bit of examples. And it was kind of funny when Linda asked me to do this, how fast when I was looking at my emails that I usually just kind of blow over because I'm used to not opening things on a regular basis. All these little examples started popping up and I'm like, oh, hey, perfect. So for the small business person, this one came through my email, past due invoice for business coaching and development, VIP services. Your accounting or yourself should know what services you're buying or not buying. Okay. Example, I haven't paid anybody for a business coach. So why is somebody sending me an invoice? Well, all of us, we would open this PDF and we go, what's in this invoice? You don't want to open up anything that you don't know of, right? Couple ways to see. I looked at this. Okay, well, that's not a normal domain. We're going to talk about email domains. That's questionable. This person, I Googled this person. That's questionable. There's no real company called this. There was no website. There was no presence, right? So, and then you can also look at this domain, and I'm going to show you some tools on how to check domains. But this domain right here wasn't appropriately named. It was off to some weird third party. It was not this Tom person, right? So here, this is an email trying to get into your system, waiting for you to click away. There's a link here. There's a link inside of here, right? So it's a no-no. Bad email. These came in. These are examples off my phone because I also wanted to show you not only because we can all right click and look at the extension on our computers, but you can do this on your phones too. So a lot of us work on our phones a lot when we're traveling or in between meetings. Same thing. I got an email, looks just like it came out of Apple. Address reactivation for some kind of a shipping, looks pretty decent. Had all the unsubscribe down here, all the different logos. The difference was when I clicked into this, and when you click on the name, who sent it to you, it's not even a Microsoft thing. It's 42mrserver8.com. There is no such thing. I can look at this and go, that's not Apple. Apple doesn't use that. But again, you can always look at the domain before you click on anything that's active. Dear, I can compute. Okay, well, that's great, but they made it a link. Well, when it's a link, it's code. If it's code, it could have malware, right? Same thing, they did it again. Oh, let's go to Apple. If I had clicked this, it would actually take me to a website that looks just like an Apple website, but it's not Apple. It looks like it, it smells like it. Here, you've got Apple, right? This isn't appropriate. It's a copy of an invoice for, something I've purchased, the One system. And you can see right on there, email.apple.com. I can go, if I even question that, I can search that domain and it'll tell me who owns that domain and that it is owned by Apple. So that's your primary. Always look at who's sending to you. And even if it looks okay, but you still don't know who this person is, you're going to look at the domain before you start clicking on anything. And I know it sounds like a lot of work. Once you get used to doing it on a regular basis, it's pretty quick. You get very familiar with them. But phishing is your number one attack. That is the number one thing coming at you personally and for work. So here's a couple examples. Now for me, again, knowing, yeah, that doesn't look right, moved on. Yep, this is me, looks right, it's fine. Still can double check if I want, right? Next one. FBI just put this one out. iPhone and Android users. Okay. Telecommunication companies got attacked over the last couple of weeks in a major way, right? Now, this was coordinated across a lot of telecommunication companies. We do not have it verified if it's a threat nation level or if it's just a coordinated like Nigerian attacking group, right? What they're saying though is, hey, all your text messages, all of your phone number, all of this information now is out there. So what they're suggesting is, okay, use encrypted text messaging. Okay, WhatsApp is a third-party application. It is encrypted. I will tell you, some people love it and hate it. WhatsApp is actually China-owned. So be aware that you're still putting data on someone else's servers. So don't put people's social security card numbers or anything in text messages on any platform, right? Think about that, because you don't know who owns the companies and who's going to be able to see it later, right? The other thing though, WhatsApp and other applications like that get spam, get hacker attempts and phishing attempts, just like every other service. The difference is the data is encrypted going out and coming in, meaning only the person on the other end will be able to see that data unencrypted. They can steal the data, but it's encrypted data. So your phone has a key, their phone has a key. Your key encrypts it, sends it to the person that says, yep, I am approved to see this data from that key, and then it unencrypts it so it can read it. Same thing with the attachments you send, etc. Right? But again, your phone is becoming a large bit of that phishing. There's also social engineering phishing that I want to talk a bit about. Our companies, we're on LinkedIn, right? We're on social media. If you go out to LinkedIn and you have Sales Navigator, I can put in anybody's company and I can see who's the owner, I can see who's the president, I can see who's the CEO, I can see the structure, who reports to whom. So I can get a lot of public served up data. And if I'm a bad guy, and actually guys, this attack came at my company, they'll go in and they'll go, oh, okay, Michelle is the owner, she's the president. Oh, and she's also the CEO, but hey, her VP of technology's name's Dawn. So they go out and they look at this. I get a text message. Hi, it's Dawn. My other phone got stolen. I'm in this conference with our customer ABC, because some of us list our customers on LinkedIn or our websites. And they're asking for this certificate of insurance with this payment deal. Are we going to do this? Wasn't him at all. Not one bit. What they're searching for is, who's our insurance? Who's the financials? Where can I go next? What's my next target? How do I get it? Y'all have heard about, oh, buy us some gift cards so I can give it to the employees. That's another one, but that's pretty much worn out. They're getting more and more creative, right? When in doubt, and what we did is literally, I looked at that, I picked up my team's phone, called that employee and said, did you lose your phone? It's like, no, why? I'm like, okay, done. Don't reply to things either. And I'm going to talk about why you don't want to reply back, right? So they're getting smarter and you have to be diligent. And then I have a couple other options for your tips. Text examples. Here's a really common one, and it's getting a lot of people in trouble. You have U.S. Postal parcel. It's on its way. Unfortunately, a lot of companies that you buy stuff online actually do use true services that will tell you where you're tracking and where your packages are. Again, domain. Go look at the domain. This is at ups.com/tracking. Okay. The United States USPS, do they do .com or .gov, guys? .gov. That should have just shoot right out at you right there. .gov. It's the U.S. Post Office, right? 2, you can put this whole domain in and look it up too and find out, nope, it's suspicious, right? Now, FedEx sends these out also. UPS sends these out also. But again, always looking at the domain, always looking at where it's going to before you click on it. Nothing could happen. You click on this, you don't see anything, you don't feel anything. What you just did though is told them, yep, I have a real phone number. Yep, I have a real person. And you know what? Your phone number is associated in more places than you probably even can think of. So you never click and never reply, right? Some other encrypted communications that you can use, your eye-to-eye message. So an iPhone to an iPhone, an iMessage to an iMessage is encrypted from one to the other, right? But you have to make sure that other person has another iPhone and it says it's an iMessage. Google messages are also encrypted. I'm going to tell you, I am not a fan of the Google platforms, though. They have more issues and more security problems. So I'm not a fan. Signal, secret chats, Telegram, there's a couple here. They're also encrypted. When I travel around the world, a lot of countries do not have typical cell service. A lot of countries use WhatsApp, and that is their main form of communication. They do business on WhatsApp all day long, right? So I use it all over the place. There are hackers on WhatsApp too, but they're still at that level because they can't get into the encryption. You have to join a group. You have to click yes. You have to do these things. You just don't, right? The data, if you want to travel and be secure, great. Use WhatsApp to reach home and talk to home. But again, never put any data out there that is going to come back. Social security card, credit card numbers, expiration numbers, user account numbers. I was over in China doing some work and someone on WhatsApp was spoofing one of my employees, and they were asking me for data around a credit card expiration date didn't go through on the account. Like, that's not them, but they were spoofing another phone mobile number, which, guys, you can spoof mobile numbers very easily. Now they have apps that do that, which is scary enough. So it could be Linda reached out to me and it looks like Linda's phone number. But if Linda asked me a bizarre question, I'm going to go and verify it's really Linda some other way. And I'm not going to give them any data, like who traveled with you or when are you going to fly in or any of the information, right? Okay, moving along. Okay, so here's our tips. Review who it came from closely. Closely. Back to what is in that strip. What was that domain? Who's that address? If it looks searchable, questionable, look it up on domains. There's a lot of places to look. I've got another slide in here that just has a quick couple. Also, ChatGPT 4.0 Pro, the one that you pay for, is your friend. Use that as much as you can, or a tool exactly like that, not the free ones. The free ones are kind of questionable by themselves of the quality. But if I wanted to, that Tom email that I showed you about that invoice, I went into ChatGPT and said, who the heck is this person? How long have they been in business? And it said, I'm sorry, we cannot confirm this company. We cannot confirm that. So I was double checking that my Google and couldn't find it. ChatGPT couldn't find it also. So therefore, nope, ignoring this, not mine, not touching it, right? Never click any links. Never, ever, ever. If you're not comfortable knowing who this is, do not download pictures, do not click links, right? And again, you can also, we'll talk about this on Malvertising, but you can hover over different pictures and links and actually get the domain without clicking on it. The difference, though, is if you're trying to copy it, you might accidentally click. So hovering, you might have to write it down or do a screen capture before you can do your homework. But don't click it. Please don't click it. Hovering over links, like I just said, don't download. Learn to recognize common phishing tactics. Fake urgency. Your account's going to be locked out. We're turning you off. Your Netflix is being turned off. I get them from everywhere. Ignore them all. If you have a question about an account, Bank of America, we see that we've got some fraud activity. Please click on this. Call them directly. Do not click it. When in doubt, pick up the phone and call whatever service you want to talk to. Services do not send things like that to your emails because they know hackers do, right? Same thing with the feds. Feds don't reach out to you in email and ask for anything. Pick up the phone, and I know calling the feds takes forever. Sit down, multitask, do something while you're waiting, but talk to a human. Don't click. Installing browser extensions and software. There is phishing software out there now. Microsoft inside of the Windows application builds it in every time you get an update. It's free software to you. But if you use Chrome and Google, I use Chrome a lot for a lot of different things. There's extensions you can add on to the actual browsers and your email. If you're using Google email, it's one of the insecure ones. I don't suggest. But look for all of those extensions that you can add to keep yourself. Always, if there's an option, grab it, keep it, and make sure it stays up to date. Keeping your stuff up to date. Turn off your phone. We as a society have not been trained to turn our phones off. You have to turn your phone off and let it reboot into the system, because other than the updates that they're pushing to you, they're doing stuff internally in the back end that is making the systems stronger on their side. It's not really affecting the device, but you to connect into those new different pathways they've created, you have to turn your phone off, let it reboot, and boot it back up. Every couple days, turn your phone off and let it reboot, right? Same thing with your computers, guys. You gotta watch if you've got any software on your computer and it says it's time to update your Norton. It is time to update a Windows. It is time to update whatever software you have. Do it right then and there. Specifically Norton, Microsoft, etc. They're responding very quickly to any of these new hacks. So they're putting out code constantly to try to keep us safe. But you have to download and you have to go through that process to get it. Let's see, restrain from replying. Okay, I have a temper. I get tired of the text messages. Hi, how's your day? Hi, blah, blah. Oh, I ordered a cake. Can you confirm it's been delivered? I am constant stuff. And, you know, my answer is leave me the heck alone. You're wasting my time. Don't answer. Because what did we just do if I answer? Gave them data. I gave them a real phone number. I told them there's a human back here. They now are going to take my phone number in the dark web and look all over the place to find out where I have that phone number, what accounts I have it registered. Oh, that phone number is also set up on Netflix. Hey, let's go attack her Netflix instance because I've got her phone number, I've got her email. One of those is going to be her user login. And if I work hard enough, I can probably crack that password, right? So never reply. Same thing with email. I would love to have replied back to that, Tom. Good luck. That was cute. Nice try. Bugger off. Nope. Don't say nothing back. Just delete it, put it into your spam, mark it as spam. So you're educating your servers. What is spam and what is not? That's a very valuable tool because they collect all that information from all of us and they share it across platforms. So if you're Office 365, the moment I mark something as spam in my Outlook, it gets served back up to the server for the bigger cloud so that they also know that it's been considered spam. Same thing with Google, same thing with, Yahoo or any of the others. If it is spam, take the time to mark it spam, right? Let them know because we are crowd sharing information. That's the only way we're going to fight these guys. Free email servers, again, Yahoo, Google, your Comcast, any of the, hey, I opened a T-Mobile account, now I've given you T-Mobile email, any of those things, those are free servers. They're not as secure as, say, your Outlook server, Office products. Google Professional, they're working on theirs because they've had some issues. But again, there is no such thing as infallible. Microsoft gets hacked all the time. Google gets hacked all the time. It's a weekly activity for these folks. And you guys never hear it in the news because that's all we'd ever hear, honestly. It's scary how much it happens. Phishing attempts right now, you get at least in your one account, one email account, 35 strong phishing attempts daily. 35. That's one account. I've got 4 personal accounts, got 3 business accounts. Then you have maybe a service account for your company and an accounting account for your company. All of your different emails. Just do the math. That's a lot of attacking, right? The free servers don't scan that out as well. Microsoft does a pretty decent job scamming out different things. Yahoo now has a paid email server. That server gets less spam than my free ones. But again, software, make sure it's updated, make sure you're using appropriate. And then I will, and no, I don't make any money from selling Microsoft products, but I will tell you from a small business, for the cost of a license to use their product, you get so much stuff when it comes to cybersecurity protection that's what we use. I have virtual employees around the world. We're all on the Office 365 platform for a reason. And again, what did I say? I'm going to repeat this over and over. MFA, multi-factor authentication, go back to your banks, go back to anything you log into, multi-factor it, MFA it, have it hit your cell phone just so you know, yep, it's me. Yep, this is me doing it. You'll be surprised. I've had Microsoft send me an MFA and it wasn't me. I've had the bank send me an MFA, wasn't me. Someone was trying to hack in. It happens. So MFA everything. Two-party authentication. It's also called 2FA, but it's the same concept. Okay, the other tip that I wanted to give you guys is confirming email domains. Again, here's the example I put in for Apple, just so you could see what ChatGPT said back to me. And I use this one a lot because between my own Google search and I buy ChatGPT, I get really good responses, excuse me. But you can use Spokeo. Spokeo is really good if it does a lot of fraud detection. It also does backgrounds for people, things of that sort. Been verified, Wix. So there's a bunch. And these you can pay for monthly, right? You can sign up. They say free, whatever, but there's always, oh no, if you want to go more than this one, now you got to buy it for this. Remember, ChatGPT is the same kind of concept here, right? So before you buy one of these, look into your ChatGPT cost. I think it's like, what, 28 bucks a month or something like that. It's very reasonable. So I use ChatGPT, but there are other options. Again, when in doubt, takes you 5 seconds. 5 seconds of not having your systems corrupted, right? And guys, if you have any questions, just stop me. I'm happy to answer. Malvertising. Okay, malvertising, same kind of concept of phishing. They're trying to get data from you or they're trying to go somewhere. This is more specific though around websites. And I'm going to show you a news example of a website that is very common. We all get it. We have Edge. And it is one of the worst places for malvertising. Malvertising can be clicked to go to this link. You could be on a legit website and advertising pops up, but it could be malvertising. Again, accepting cookies. What cookies are programmatic code? You only accept cookies or anything from a website that you know that's a valid website. You can go to a bad website, accept a cookie, and it's a malvertising site. And now you just downloaded any malware onto your system, whether it be your phone or your computer. And also, guys, we used to think that our phone was set aside, whether you had an iPhone or an Android. Not true. Like our phone has Outlook on it for our Office 365 and Teams. It can get into a phone, malware can be on a phone and work its way into the systems, and it looks for things like that, right? So they're not safe. They're just like any other computer now, because they are. Your phone is a glorified mini computer. That's all it is. So they're just as vulnerable, right? Malvertising, trusted networks, difficult to detect, looks like a Verizon site, looks like a T-Mobile site, looks like all the other sites, sniffs like it, just like that USPS. The only difference is I know that's the United States Postal. Should have said .gov, not .com. The other thing, and I forgot to mention this, is watching the actual email address. And I'm going to roll back because this one is important and I just remembered it. Okay. These email addresses, and I have had this happen from Apple, and it's not Apple's fault. It says no_reply at emailapple.com. A's, there is a symbol of an A that looks almost exactly like that A, but it's not. It has a little tiny hook right at the bottom. That's another one. Look carefully at the words. Make sure, for me, yep, I buy this every month. I see this email every month, so I'm expecting to see the email. Great. Okay, here though, could have said the exact same thing, but if I look across and I go, wow, that's a weird looking A, doesn't match the others. It's that subtle anymore that they have this little acrylic A that you can get away with and use it, and it's not registered. It's not the domain. It's a different domain. So when in doubt, we check our domains, right? Check often. Okay, back onto what I was doing here. Malvertising. Malvertising works more around websites. Now, when you open up your browser, we're all familiar with this beautiful feeds that we get, and it's great. It's got little news pops. I call this clickbait because I have ADD, and trust me, I can go in, and if there's anything with a shark on here, I want to look at it. It's so cool. I look at my sharks. Problem is, one of these sites, you can look at 20 of these tiles. One of them, more than likely, is a malvertising site. How do you know? You hover over that site. If it says that this is the LA Times, and I hover over the site when it's live, and it doesn't say LA Times dot whatever, and that's not their domain, I'm not going to click on it. And this comes out of Microsoft, right? The problem is it is so prevalent and so much of it out there that they themselves, they do as best a job they can to keep malvertising off of here, but you're still going to run into it. You're still going to see it, and it's still going to happen. The other one, malvertising. This came through email, but it wants me to go to a website. It came in, and it's a DocuSign site. And the actual email, look, it's actually DocuSign. That's a DocuSign account. So this is a link to DocuSign, but it comes from this weird person called Donna Shepard Gmail. Well, Gmail, is a free account. Anybody can have a Gmail account. This person does not exist. She is not a business. I haven't ordered anything. I wouldn't order anything that I have to sign a DocuSign for anyhow. If it is a proof, like let's say you did artwork and you're ordering, like I'm working on a booth right now. They send me an email that says, click this to go approve your proof. Well, first thing I do is make sure the domain's right. Okay, yep, looks like the company. Hover over the link. Yep, that matches what's above. Yep, everything looks fine. Did I place an order recently? Yep, I sure did. Okay, click. Takes me to the website. If it doesn't log in automatically, I'm going to wait again, because if it takes me just to the main site, why? It should know my order. All right, stop again. And if you still think it's the same, log in separately, like you went in directly to that website, right? Here, this DocuSign, I would have gone in here. There wouldn't have been anything here. The moment I got in there, it would have sent me, quote unquote, something to sign with a bunch of malware attached to it. You have to double check everything. Again, this one, the reason I included this example is when we talk about domains, this domain is right, but this person isn't. And this was one big long email, guys. That's why I kind of had to cut it up. So you got to watch those too. And this is considered malvertising because it's taking you to an actual good product website for bad purposes. Okay. We got 10 minutes, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Some of this is repetitive to phishing because they do cross over a little bit. Clickbait ads, run, double check, hover. We know how to hover now, right? Always hover. Take a moment, breathe, look at the hover before you click it. Interesting, put it in the search bar yourself. If you want to go look at that article, let's say there's a shark article I think is really cool. I will put into a new search bar, new screen, that article's name and see where the article came from itself and go that route. I don't have to go into the actual tile. I can get there other ways and I can verify better. Ad blockers. A lot of our different web browsers have ad blockers. Turn them on. Get those ads out of your way. Now, one caution about ad blocker pop-ups. You turn them off. If you, let's say you work in QuickBooks. I work in QuickBooks. And as I'm working, things pop up in QuickBooks that you do want to see for functions. If you've turned off ad blocking for everything, it's not ads that it's blocking. It's blocking script on the browser that's saying, I'm going to let something pop into your screen. That's what you're turning off. But what can happen is while you're in QuickBooks, you can go into your settings and say, ad blocker for everything. This is a safe site, can have ads pop up. Right? So you can then narrow down your bank, QuickBooks, all those safe places, you can add that. But generally, turn off your ad blockers. A lot of the browsers, use your browsers that have ad blocking built it in. Some people use Firefly. There's Netscape. There's a bunch of different browsers that a lot of geeks use a lot. You might not need it, but they don't have ad blockers turned on automatically. You need to use browsers that have ad blockers. Edge, Chrome, you know, some of those, the currents, and when it's not turned on automatically, go and double check that it's all turned on because maybe you turned it off because it was giving you issues. Make sure all this security stuff is turned on. Make sure that sites that you're going to click on are HTTPS. Those are secure connections. If it's not an HTTPS, hopefully you're just looking at something. Don't enter anything. Think about it's a secure site. So when you type in information, it's going encrypted to them as a tool versus just out where anybody could be watching it and sniffing it. You don't want that. Make sure you do not track any of your web. Turn that off too. And again, I'm going to send these out because there's a lot. And your modem browser, make sure there's anti-malware on that and anti-phishing. That's your Comcast browser. That's if you use Starlink, what their modem has or their router. They can use modem, they can use router as a term. Either way, it's what your internet's coming in on. Make sure that there is malware and anti-phishing tools on it. Okay, moving on because we're almost out of time. Sorry. Other attacks. This is a mouthful too. Ransomware. Ransomware is not really targeted at this time for small business. Ransomware works that a malware gets into your system and it encrypts all of the data, generally in your data systems, like your data centers, your cloud instance, things of that sort, encrypts it. And then they hold it hostage, ransom, and say, okay, for this amount of crypto, I'm going to give it back to you. All right. Big companies that get into this now, the FBI is saying, do not pay the ransom because they're the bad guy. They're going to say, yeah, I'm going to give you the key. You give me $1 million in crypto. I'll give you your information back. And they do. You give them the million, they give it back. But guess what they left in the background? They have been in your system. They have left all these little nasty surprises. 6 months from now, guess what you're doing again? And again. And again. So we tell everybody, do not pay the ransomware. Do not do it. Trojan and backdoors, right? That's kind of that when we talk about malware, it can come in looking like a picture. It can come in looking like a PDF. It can come in looking like an Excel sheet, but it's just a Trojan horse to get to your systems, right? Business email compromise. These are a little bigger. This is for your enterprise level. They come in and they are actually imitating you, one of your employees. This actually happened to a company, and they target presidents, by the way, because all the employees will jump to us. They'll do whatever we ask. And this happened in a company I was at. Their HR department, the spoofed HR department, reached out to the president and said, hey, they need from you a copy of all the employee list, their socials and addresses. Can you please send that over? They won't take it from me. I do not have the authority. So guess what this person did? Again, watch what happens. They can spoof your internal emails very easily. Vulnerabilities, any vulnerabilities in software, any things they can come up with. Again, I'm going to pound on it. Software update, software update, software update, always. You do not need to buy Norton per se or any extra software if you're a Windows person. Just make sure, because Windows provides you VPNs. They provide you all sorts of security software updates. If you have Office 365, we're going to talk about, the high level things. They have a lot of tools available for you. It never hurts to have more than one, except for you can't have two VPNs running at the same time, things like that. We're going to talk about that as our next tips for kind of overarching health. Denial of service. Denial of service, this used to be reserved for large corporations, but when I sat back and thought about this for small business a bit, a lot of you may be selling a product online at a website. And if you have been targeted for whatever reason, they can send enough traffic to your website to crash it. And that's called the DOS, denial of service. They have overwhelmed your site so much your site crashes. With AI today, it's not one person sitting there trying to hit your website. It's 1 million persons hitting your website all at once. So that is an attack scenario. Insider threats. Okay, insider threats. And I don't really like insider threat as a term, but it is an insider vulnerability. Your people are your vulnerability. You yourself are your vulnerability. Phishing, malvertising, we get busy, we click on things, we don't have time to look at all the domains. Employees aren't educated. Guys, take this presentation, walk your people through it. I'm happy that you share it, because again, we all got to protect each other, right? Talk to them about this. Your contractors, your accounting contractors, if they use QuickBooks and they send you instant invoices, things like that, have the conversation. How safe are they? Are they being cyber secure? Because you are associated to them. Do you have contractors that have any access into the back end of your systems? How safe are they? Have the conversation. Man in the middle is pretty interesting. Man in the middle. I'm going to teach you all about, or talk to you really quickly about turning off your broadcasting of your internet name. When I go to an airport, you see all the free internets that you can use. That's great. Turn on a VPN. Don't grab one you don't recognize. When in doubt, question, because they could mimic SeaTac Airport free open Wi-Fi. And now I'm running against their network and all of the traffic, and all I'm doing, they can sit there and scan it and capture and scan and capture. And it doesn't mean that it's encrypted unless my stuff was encrypted. So be careful where you get. Now, the simple thing to do at home and in your office is the term broadcasting, right? It's very convenient when someone comes over to our house, they're like, oh, you can see Soul House. Great. Yeah, you just log in by giving it this password. Great. You turn broadcasting off, someone opens their phone, their computer, they can't see it. The only difference is you hand them a piece of paper and say, manually type this in, manually put that in, and they can connect just like anyone else. But no one else is going to drive by your house with a sniffer and pick up your name, or drive by your office and pick up your name, right? They can't spoof you. I want you to think about, you go to a conference and maybe you rented a conference room and you're working and they've got that conference Wi-Fi you can use. Make sure everybody's using the real Wi-Fi. That's a perfect man-in-the-middle attack. Get a group of people together. And then the next one, deep fake scams. Now this gets really to home. When we talk about deep fake, AI can mimic anybody's voice now. So you get a phone call, I'm in trouble, right? It can sound just like your loved ones. Deep fakes are scary. So just be on the alert. Okay, solutions in the last 5 minutes. Sorry, guys. Don't get in a hurry. Be diligently paranoid. And I use that term a lot. Use a VPN on every device, your phone and your computers when you're in public. Always have that VPN on. Do not broadcast your network. I just talked about that. Always have your cybersecurity software updated. Use an application for your passwords. I use LastPass. I happen to like it. It works between your phone and all of your computers. Learn to use a tool like that. Do not put it in your contacts, no matter how wise or secured notes or any of that. Don't put it there. Educate your people. Educate. And again, say it with me, people. MFA, MFA, MFA. Back up your data. If you have Office 365, your entire computer, if you've configured it correctly, everything on your computer backs up instantaneously. So if somebody does hack your computer or something happens, fastest thing is turn the computer off and know that everything that was last done is still sitting in the cloud. Have someone, and their SharePoints are encrypted. You can share like Box, all of that right out of Teams. All of those tools are in your pro license. And a pro license for small companies is only like $30 a month per person per email. So look into that, guys. And again, they don't pay me for this. I can just tell you what I've seen and what works well. An incident response plan. Okay. This is a longer conversation, but it is not a matter of if you're ever going to be attacked. It is a matter of when. Your incident response plan, if you've got 10 employees, do they know who to call? Do they know what to do right away if an incident happens? Do you have cybersecurity insurance? If the answer is yes, be very careful, because if you start doing stuff without notifying your insurance that something's happened, you null and void any of the money you can get back for any activity. Meaning, if you called your legal company and said your counsel and said, hey, this happened, what should I do? Those hours you think are covered under your cyber insurance, if you didn't notify them first, it's not. A remediation company, you all need to know one tech remediation company that can come and fix your computers when all bad things happen. Have them on board, have them already familiar, pay a little fee to have a retainer with them, but that goes into your incident response plan, and print it out on paper, people, because your computer and your phone is hacked. You no longer have your digital tools. You want to turn them off. You don't want them running. So an incident response plan, your company, everybody who works with you needs to know what's in it, and that they have their own copy somewhere so they know who to call and what to do when their computer has gone bad. Have cybersecurity insurance. It is a tool. It will help you. And there are different levels of the service, right? If you lose 3 days of data that has to be rebuilt, and you have to pay a remediation company to come in and clean up all your Amazon cloud environment and all of that, that can get very expensive very quick. That's what cyber insurance is for. And no, I don't sell it, and no, I don't get any money. And then again, remediation company, all very, very important. And then I gave you a little quick checklist. I saw this out of a Verizon thing and then added a couple things. Do your own risk assessment, CMMC and NIST. These are going to feel way over your head because if you don't have an enterprise system, but the things that are in there for you that you should learn, how to do third-party assessing. All the people that support you, are they safe or could they infect you? Right? Risk assessments help you to do that. So you can learn their structure and then modify it down to fit your company. So there is guidance. You're not trying to do all this by yourself. Again, update your software, change your security, your passwords often, make your teams do it often, make sure your network's secure, whether you're in your house, we talked about broadcasting or not, firewalls. Windows comes with a firewall, guys. Turn it on, use it, back up your data, control your access. Not everybody needs everything. Okay. And that's it. Those are my tips. Now, and this is one of the things I say a lot, just because I'm paranoid does not mean they're not out to get me. Live by it. Be paranoid.
I love that. I love that. Oh, Michelle, this was such great information. Holy moly. We all have a lot to think about. And thank you for putting it in such a great presentation. So all the information is here. And I'm going to get that out to everybody right away. So let this all sort of marinate for a little bit. Let the pieces fall into place. And I will get this out to you really quickly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, everyone. Wish you all luck. Be paranoid. Bye, everybody.
Bye.